Good evening. I call the City Council Finance Committee of September 17th to order. Please stand for pledge of allegiance. Councilor Walker.
Pledge of allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. You may be seated. So the Finance Committee meeting will go to 6 o'clock, and then at 6 o'clock, we'll have to go directly to the public hearing if we're not done. So recess, go to the public hearing, then once the public hearing is done, we'll go back to the finance. Right, call to order. Madam Clerk?
Counselor Horn.
Here.
Counselor Fitzpatrick.
Here.
Counselor Sullivan.
Present.
Counselor Turner.
Present.
Counselor Walker.
Present.
Deputy Mayor Hammond.
Present.
Mayor Callahan.
Present, we have a quorum. Is there any public input on the agenda specifically to the Finance Committee meeting today? Okay, hearing none, we'll move down to new business.
Oh,
Mr. Sullivan, what did I miss?
acceptance of minutes.
Oh, I have my glasses on. Acceptance of the minutes from the August 13th meeting.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Nice carry, okay. Public input. Unfinished business, there is no unfinished business. New business, discussion on the water and sewer rates. Director Sullivan.
So in your packet is a summary on the proposed user changes, user rate changes for water and sewer, as well as changes for the service type fees that are being built on. So there's a lot of data in here. I've been working on water and sewer rate projections for quite some time now. We've done a lot of projections to get prepared for the new wastewater treatment plant project. The proposed rates on user rate increases on both are 10% for water and 15% on sewer. But I want to also make sure that everyone understands that this is will be a series of increases like this to get us into the position where we can financially support, particularly the sewer fund, when the new wastewater treatment plant is under construction and built and bonded, which is going to be a fairly expensive project. For this year, prior to me submitting this in August, I met with the Utility Advisory Board. I met with them a couple of times, and I provided them a lot of detail on some statistical pieces of the water and sewer consumption, residential accounts, commercial accounts, medians, average, so you get a good sense of the majority of the user rates are being, 80% of the user rates are being generated by 50% of the customer base. So it gives you a sense on the disbursement of how these are being generated, what category is being generated. I know it's a lot of data. In the memo that I provided to the Finance Committee, there's a analytics on page 6, which quantifies what the impact would be of these rate increases on a median household, a median with exemption, a residential at the average, the quarterly, and I tried to break it down, commercial, and the same on sewer. So I guess I'd like to see if there's any questions on any of the data, any of the assumptions.
Your Honor,
Yes, go ahead.
you mentioned a series of increases. How often are you thinking of coming back for increases?
Annually.
Annually? No,
Yep, annually. The last time we increased the user rates was 2 years ago. We've been essentially on a 2-year cycle, and that's really not keeping up. So in the packet on page 9 is a summary that I presented to the UAB on what we'd be looking for the next 4 years, FY '24, '25, '26, and '27. So it's approximately 10% a year on the water, and it goes up from 15% to 25% for a couple of years on the sewer, and then down to 20% by 2027.
Director, I just want to interrupt you. For folks that are following here in the packet, it's actually page 13.
Oh, I'm sorry. You're right, because that's another, you have a different packet. Sorry about that. So, yes, it would be annually, and try to visit this right after or right at the budget adoption.
Councilor Hammond.
Mr. Sullivan, can you explain to people what will happen with the fees for septage, for people that are on septic systems and having their things pumped out and then dumped?
So in the back of the last part of the section, there's a section for FY '25 water sewer service fee proposed changes. And if you look down to the septage discharge, there's in the septage receiving, which is a revenue source, which you're talking about. There's, if somebody gets their sewer system or their septic system pumps and brings it to the wastewater treatment plant for disposal, that's what you're talking about. Okay, there's not a proposal to increase those fees.
Can I ask why?
Well, there's some concerns about the amount of haulers that are currently using the Rochester facility, and my understanding from Superintendent Green was we're about at the high end already of what those rates are, and the concern would be if we increase them significantly more, some of that revenue would go to other communities. And it's about $130,000 a year, I believe, we take in from that particular. So that wasn't on the schedule of increases for the sewer.
Any more questions for the Director of Finance? Councilor Fontenot.
Sure, thank you. So just to bring me up to speed, is the series of increases, is that in relation to the new treatment plant that's being built as a result of, or the upgrades to the treatment plant that are being done as a result of the EPA requirements for the Great Bay discharge things, the phosphorus and the nitrates, et cetera? Is that the basis of where this is coming from, or is that going to be further increases for that in the future, separate of this?
No, that's the driver of particularly on the sewer side, but we have to also remember there is approximately $29 million in authorized and unissued bonded debt on the sewer side that we haven't completed those projects yet. And on the water side, there's another $28 million. That's just through the normal adopted budget process for, the initiatives that we're doing in terms of the Clean Water Act and the other things that have to happen on the water fund just to keep the whole system going. We have some pretty big projects in the water, as you're aware of, Round Pond, and there's some other ones. So we would need rate increases just to keep up with that. The reason why they're going a little bit beyond what we really need to manage what the existing is for the plant.
Thank you. I know there was just an article in the Fosters regarding it, and I just kind of wanted to clarify that that's where, at least the sewer end of it, that's where a part of these increases are coming from. Thank you.
Councilor Sullivan.
Thank you, Your Honor. Yes, I had a question for clarification. the timeline of, like, did it go to 27? Whatever the years were, would we be putting forward to approve all of those, or just the first, and that's the plan? So like, are we saying that we are be agreeing to those increases every year for 4 years or whatever it was?
No, I'm just demonstrating that that's what the next 4 years looks like,
Okay,
and that's what we'll come back with for proposals.
so we'd revisit it each year?
Yeah, you have to revisit every year and adopt it, yeah.
right.
Yep.
Thank you.
Would you like to turn it over to the UAB now, or what's your plan?
The chair of the UAB is here. If he has anything to say, I welcome his input.
Hey, Dawn, Sean Levy, Chairman of the UAB. Mark
Good
pretty
evening.
much covered pretty much where you covered it all, but been on the board for 13, 14 years now. It's been a struggle with trying to get the increases every year. Mark said every 2 years. We go have these lulls, and then we got to hit hard to make up for that. So we're proposing annually, 10 and 15 for fiscal year 25 be 10, 25, 10 and 25, and for 27 it'd be a 12 and 20%. And sounds like a lot, but myself, I use 17 units. For a quarter, you're talking $31 and $10 per month. It's not a whole lot of money, but, we need to get this sewer for the updates for this plant, so it ain't come out of general fund, so taxpayers ain't paying for it. It's sewer and users that are handling it, and people that aren't on the system will be paying. That's our thoughts on it. Any other questions we can try to answer? I think Mark pretty well.
I'll start with a question, Chairman Libby. Thank you very much you for being in UAB, and you've been involved for 14 years.
Yeah, 13, 14, yeah.
Okay, I know 2 years ago we increased the rates. How often have we increased the rates in the 14 years that you've been on the UAB?
I don't have the exact, but it's not that much. Like I said, it's been a 2 or 3 year lull, and then we come with our propose, and then you guys look at it, and, we propose a 7, and it gets hit with a 3%.
Okay.
So it's just a struggle, and we all know what's happening with this new plant, and nobody likes it, but it's the facts. It's gonna happen, you ain't stopping it, and we just gotta prepare for it. Other than that, we're gonna get hit with a 50% all at once.
Good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any questions for the chairman? Yeah, go ahead.
I'm sorry, I had one more question, and either can answer it, but you referred to that in both funds, 80% of the user fee revenues are generated by 50% of the user base. Can you kind of break that down for a little bit, what that means? Who are the 50% that use 80% of the, or generate 80% of the revenues?
So it's statistics, right? So what it is you look at the median, right? And the median is the exact middle of your data set, which is on the water, it's 7,500 customers. Okay. So over 3,500 are below the median. And if you look at what that is, if the median's 48, you go all the way down to like 2 units. So when you analyze those units that they've used and the revenue it generated, it's 20% of the overall generation, because 50% of the user base is above the median. That 50% generates 80% of the revenue.
So it's not a specific category like residential, commercial, industrial? It's
No,
not-
the
it's-
majority of the customer accounts are residential.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions? Just a statement here is, there's a lot of information in here to digest, and I'm sure there's going to be more information that the finance director in the UAB may have So that's why it says for discussion and not to vote on tonight, because there's a lot of information here. So is there anything else you want to add before we move on to the next?
No, it's appropriate to take some time to review it and digest it and think about any other questions or any other analysis that you want to see. I do have a recommendation that I'd like to change from my proposal, and that's the commercial high-volume user, which that is one or two, I think it's one particular user who, the high-volume user on the sewer gets a 10% discount based on the volume over 5,000 units per month. And I think maybe we need to look at adding another discount tier in that, because on the sewer side, you know, when you look at the volume of the units and the change, and that'll be a significant financial impact on that particular user. So maybe that's something we bring back. And of course, any other data that anyone wants me to dig into, or...
For the counselors and the folks that are following along, my belief that's on page 19 in our finance packet. Thank you. Any questions, any comments, statements, Chairman, before we move on?
No, just looking at it, I can see, you know, Mark says commercial, I see there's 406 commercial users, is what, 44% is what we have here, Mark? And our projection, it was for FY '24, it'd be October 1st increase for the 10 and 15%, and then July 1st of 24, 25, 26, and 27.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming, and thanks for coming again next month, too.
Absolutely.
Moving on, reports from Finance and Administration, monthly reports on the Finance meeting. Director Sullivan.
Yeah, through August 31st, we're just getting started. Revenues are slightly above in some categories the trend, because we're at 17% completion of FY '25. It's still a little too early to make any determinations on revenue trends or expense trends, but we'll continue to monitor. You know, obviously you can see that the police and the expense activity, you know, the dispatch and fire are trending, and police are trending above their overtime. But that's not a surprise considering the situations with those departments.
Thank you.
There really isn't a whole lot other to comment on at this time.
Any comments or questions for the director or some of the department heads that are here? I have a question for you, Director Norris. $188 winter maintenance in July and August.
I'm sorry, Your Honor?
$188 spent in winter maintenance.
I'll have to run that down for you.
I'm sure it's to fix a plow. It's fine, a plow piece.
Yeah.
I'm just having fun with you a little bit.
You are. You got me.
All right, thank you very much. All right. Okay, without any objection, we adjourn the meeting. Thank you. We'll be back on at 6 for the public hearing. Peter, I was just having fun with you. Good evening. I call the City Council public hearing of September 17th, 2024 to order. Madam Clerk, roll call.
Counselor DeJeufroy?
Present.
Counselor Fitzpatrick?
Present.
Counselor Sullivan?
Present.
Counselor Horn?
Present.
Counselor Walker?
Present.
Counselor Herman?
Present.
Counselor Fontenot?
Present.
Counselor Turner? Present. Counselor Credo?
Present.
Counselor Richardson?
Present.
Counselor Hammond?
Present.
Counselor Carolian?
Present.
Mayor Callahan?
Present.
That's all I have.
We have a quorum.
Perfect.
Amendment to Chapter 275 of the General Ordinances of the City of Rochester regarding Pork Chop subdivision, and we'll hear from Senior Planner Tracy Gora.
Hi, Your Honor, Council. Again, Tracy Gora, Senior Planner with the Planning and Development Department here. And I had gone over this 2 weeks ago when I was here, but basically this is an ordinance change to the zoning ordinance, which speaks to pork chop subdivisions, which these subdivisions allow for parcels with greater area in the back and not as much frontage to be able to subdivide but still maintain a minimal amount of development and break up of the land. It does kind of keep the development to one side or one section of the lot instead of breaking things up so much. The planning board reviewed existing language and offered updates. They had some back and forth. We did have a student intern, Yasmin Naywin, with the Spalding High School, and she was helping us do some research as well. We did look into offering the pork chop subdivision in the R1 district as well, because right now it's currently only offered in the agricultural zoning district. However, after some research into that, the board decided they didn't want to move forward with that and leaving it with the agricultural zoning district. The other thing, which was a big concern to board members, was proper addressing of the new lots regarding first responders and being able to locate these lots, because oftentimes the development is at the rear of the lot. And so you want to be able to make sure you're identifying the location and getting to where you need to be in the case of an emergency. So that's what the major changes were. However, since the meeting last week, that happened to be the first day of our new director, Seth Crichton, who's been wonderful to have here. He did review this amendment and made some changes on his own. They were non-substantial. He did meet with the attorney today and decided that they weren't big enough where you'd have to have a new public hearing. There are a few changes, which I believe you have in front of you. A couple of the changes just speak to taking out the section of the code that it references. Sometimes codes change, the numbers change, and you don't want to have to go back and change all your ordinances to reflect that. So it was just name only for those. And the main change was that he didn't want to have a reference on the deed for the no further subdivision. He wanted that more note on the plans. That way, if anything changed in the future, whether it was zoning to that lot, that they wouldn't be restricted by the deed, which can be really hard to overcome if they make a change to that. That's all I have right now, but again, I'm here for questions.
Any councilors have questions? Go ahead, Councilor Sullivan.
Thank you, Your Honor. Yeah, I just have one question. I noticed that Director Creighton had put in there, added private into the drive. These are generally small, like a couple lots. So I'm assuming there's no situation in the past where these have become taken over. Does that exclude them from being taken over if for some reason they were?
Yeah, the intention is that they will not be taken over by the city. The requirement will not be that they can be constructed to city road requirements. So it would never be assumed that it would be taken over. If there was a time when somebody wanted to make that change and propose it to the city, they would have to update that shared driveway or private driveway to city specs.
Thank you.
Thank you. Councilor Fontenot.
Thank you. I want to thank Director Creighton for catching that deed reference, because that was a concern that I have, so thank him for that. The other question I had was on the last page, it's number 9, width of the driveway. It says the all season passable width of any private access shall be 20 feet when serving 2 or more lots. Is it clarified that, so is that 20 feet for the entire length? I'm wondering if the first lot cuts off, 20 or 30 feet into the driveway, do they still need to maintain a 20-foot wide driveway all the way to the back house if it's?
Yes, that is the case for maintenance and again, for first responders to be able to get back there. They do suggest to maintain a 20-foot easement regardless of how many lots in the back.
So it's the driveway size itself, I guess, that concerns me a little bit. If it was just a single-family house being built on it, it was not a pork chop lot, it was just a single-family lot, and they put their house 400 feet back from the road, there's no requirement, I don't believe, on the driveway side. Maybe somebody from Public Works could, or Fire Department could correct me on that. But, so, a typical driveway is probably 12 feet of pavement. So, in other words, if it was just a single-family house, not a pork chop lot, they could have a driveway that was 12 feet wide. But because this is a pork chop lot, they have to have a 20-foot wide driveway all the way to their house. And I don't know that, I'm not sure what the reason for that is.
I would have to look into that a little bit more. I'm not familiar with the standards for driveway widths when it's just for a single-family home. I did speak with, again, emergency personnel who were all in agreement for this 20-foot wide. I would love to look into that and get some answers to that.
I just have a quick follow-up on that. If I'm reading 9 right, it says all season passable width of any private access shall be 20 feet when serving 2 or more lots.
Yeah, and I understand that, where the two lots are both using the driveway, but if it's a pork chop, often the driveway will go in and hit the first lot that is right here, maybe only 50 feet in. So I would be fine with it if it, in the area where it's, where both lots are using the driveway there. But if it splits off, and now my house is another 200 feet back, I'd hate to have to build a 20-foot wide road all the way back to my house. Maybe
we'll get
the
good
fire
question.
chief or somebody could comment on that.
We can get a response to that pretty quickly from your office, correct?
Thank you.
Yes.
Yeah, okay, thanks, that's a good question. Councilor Hammond, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I think part of it also is because you could have 2 vehicles on there at the same time going in opposite directions. So,
I understand that, yeah. So where the 2 houses are using it, I would agree with that.
yeah, but even visitors.
Right, but we don't require
going
that.
in and out, but
But we don't require that I don't believe we require that of other driveways in general.
of driveways, maybe not, but this is a private road, basically.
I
Okay.
understand.
It's a private access, but, I think it's more than a driveway.
Yeah, we'll get clarification from the director. Thank you. Any other questions, comments for the senior planner? All right, hey, thank you. And I just want to thank you again for filling in as our director. You did a great job.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thanks for sticking around. Okay, now we'll open up the public hearing, specifically to the pork chop lot. Just come up and state your name and address. If there is anyone? Okay. Hearing none, then we'll close the public hearing, and without any objection, I would adjourn the meeting. Hearing none, meeting is adjourned. We'll go directly into the city council workshop. And we've already called the meeting in order, so I don't think we need to do that. Everybody's here and present. We'll go right to public input. Public input on the workshops is limited to 5 minutes, and please state your name and address.
Good evening, Human, Ward Clerk, Ward 6 Ward Clerk in exile. At the last regular city council meeting, that would be September 3rd of this year, you guys voted to fill the position of Ward 5 moderator. and the person who you voted into that position was Councillor Desgeoffroy. But something about this vote caught my attention, and what caught my attention was that Councillor Desgeoffroy voted for himself, which would be a conflict of interest. Voting for yourself, and remember, this is a paid position, so that's a conflict of interest. Why did Councillor Desgeoffroy vote for, why did he not recuse himself? Well, according to Terrence, the city attorney who conveniently stepped out, it's okay. Terrence's opinion was that it's okay. So we all know that lawyers speak a different language than normal people. So I brought with me tonight my Terrence English Dictionary, and I like to look up in the book what that translates. It has a list of phrases, so let's see. Here it is. It's okay translates to, we will probably get away with it. We will probably get away with it. So when Terrence says it's okay, what that translates to is we will probably get away with it in English. That's not very encouraging. Right? When are you guys going to realize that the city attorney is a liability for the city? There's a real problem here. I don't understand why this guy still has a job. Well, actually, I do. It's kind of like you guys are the alcoholic in denial that you have a problem here. How many of you have had that alcoholic friend? You go up to him and you say, you know, buddy, this drinking is kind of becoming a problem. And what does the alcoholic say? The alcoholic says, oh no, everything's fine. You know, I like the taste of the beer or the Jack Daniels or the Smirnoff. It helps me to relax, the alcoholic says. It helps me to cope with stress. Meanwhile, everything in the alcoholic's life is collapsing around him, and he's completely oblivious. Why? Because his common sense was lost somewhere in the bottom of a bottle. And the city council is like that with this city attorney. So every alcoholic, God willing, comes to a point where he says, well, you know, he comes to this epiphany. I think I do have a problem. I do have a drinking problem. I'm an addict. And then comes that iconic moment where the alcoholic opens the bottle and pours that Smirnoff down the drain. This city has eventually to come to that point where you've realized that you have a problem here, where you metaphorically pour that city attorney down the proverbial drain. So consider this your intervention moment. The city has a problem. The city's problem isn't Jack Daniels, it's Terrence O'Rourke.
Ashley DeRocher, 2 McDuffie Street. Wow. What a timely topic. Alcoholism, drug use. Interesting though, because people with problems know they have them. And they also know when they need help. And it sure is hard when they're not getting the help that they need. And I'll tell you what, I've reached my limit, but I'm not done. And then when this 5 minutes is over, I will have reached my limit, but I'm not done. Serenity now. Because I did not cause this problem, and I did not create it. But when I hear that a fire has taken place in my backyard, and a reminder that folks are not to camp, and I see city resources, fire, police, our taxpayer dollars, our hardworking first responders, again, responding to a situation that needs emergency intervention. This is an emergency, folks. An emergency. We need the Board of Health involved immediately, and we need the emergency management directors in every single city addressing this problem, or else this will continue to happen. We cannot wait a year. We cannot wait for a group of people in a room talking about how to spend this money. They talk, we die. This is a very common phrase that you will hear when people talk about this. They're dying, and our taxpayers are footing the bill. And people are dying. It's exhausting and it's heartbreaking. It makes my body hurt. And it hurts everyone around us, and it makes us all angry. And the police department posting no trespassing. And I hear that the community outreach facility, so help me God, is driving around with the police department and posting no trespassing signs. I've reached my limit. What the heck, y'all? Not cool. And I am outraged by this. It's happening everywhere. Okay, we need year-round, comprehensive health services intervention right now. We need sheltering, emergency sheltering, and we need layered plans right now, and we need to treat it as it is a public health emergency that is impacting all of our city resources, our neighborhoods, and lives, all of us, right now. Not yesterday, not in 5 days, right now. I think that's all I can say. Then I'm going to write my name right here. And shame on anybody talking about drug use and alcoholism like that. It's disgusting and rude. They're people, and they matter. That will be all from me for today.
Good evening. My name is Kevin. Last name is Harrington. I live at 279 North Main Street in Rochester, the new Blue House up on North Main Street. I was born and raised in Rochester, left 45 years ago. I returned about 10 weeks ago. Bought the beautiful Blue House. Enjoy the home immensely. Don't love the traffic, but it's part of the gig. Experiencing a new home is usually joyous until you experience some of the things that are not noticed immediately when you buy a home, such as hedges that are 6 feet tall and close to 6 feet wide, located at 267 North Main Street. I've come to the city and asked for some help to reduce the size of the hedges that are the only hedges along all of North Main Street. If you want to start at the circle and work your way all the way up, nobody has something as blinding as a set of hedges. I've been told actually through Katie, I appreciate Katie, I sat with her twice. It's a good conversation. I appreciate the information and the feedback I received. I think some of the things that I'm struggling with is that we have a fabulous fire and rescue team, one of the best in the state, as far as I can see. I'm plugged in, I'm back in, I'm here. We have a police department that is understaffed, but yet again, I find them to be exceptional at what they do. The code enforcement in the city of Rochester is bleak. I understand there's some changes that are taking place. I don't know what those are. Code enforcement is lacking. Code enforcement is fundamentally a set of measures that create rules that we all live by, an opportunity for us to coexist and be treated equally and to experience life the same together. But if we're not enforcing our codes, then let's close up shop and go home because the codes aren't being enforced. Here's a good example. I bought a home, 279 North Main Street. The folks who inspected my home rubber stamped the gas system installation. It is by law, IRCs, that govern where you put propane tanks related to or relative to the exhaust vent on a heating system. Pru oil and propane was permitted. It was rubber stamped. They put them about 5 feet from the exhaust. That is illegal. It's illegal by state code, it's illegal by city code, it's illegal by federal code. But it was approved. My point is, code enforcement isn't actually functional in this city. And so I ask that the city revisit some of the issues that I see as concerns, and in particular, public safety. So just to touch on the propane, Pru and oil, tanks were ripped out. My request, I knew that they were illegal, get them out of here. I'll have a new tank in there, it is to code. But the city of Rochester put a tag on my gas nozzle outside of my house saying that it was good to go. Somebody in code enforcement either rubber stamped it or didn't know the code. Simple as that. I believe 275, which relates to fencing, structures, and other things that are obstructions to the city visibility, if you will, dictates what we should be allowed to put close to the sidewalks or the roads for visibility purposes. There are height restrictions, there are setback restrictions. The hedges at 267 North Main Street do not meet any of those restrictions. Furthermore, 223-15, 223-16, 223-18, and I would invite you to read each and every one of those in detail, suggest that the city actually has the right to address on private driveways hedges or other obstacles that are in the way for the safety of the public. One more 30 seconds. Gotcha. Thank you.
20 seconds.
Was that?
20, go ahead.
20. Point is, not only can I not see, the autistic individual who walks down the sidewalk can't see me. The vehicles can't see me. The bicycles that are electric that go at 15, 20 miles per hour scooting down the highway, they can't see me. I've had 3 incidents already. An electric bike going over my hood. Not quite. Close. It was an accident waiting to happen. I'm asking for the city to do one thing. To take the iron posts that are already established and deeded at the state of New Hampshire's level, cut back the hedges to those iron posts, which is city property, actual city property.
Thank you.
I will have the visibility I need,
Got
and
it.
people can see
Got
me.
it. Thank you.
How do we turn the light on? Good evening, Susan Rice, 10 Rod Road. Last Wednesday's ZBA meeting was the epitome of professionalism by a city attorney. Speaking at 800 words per minute, it was truly difficult to follow the bumbling rumblings and bullying antics he employed. Did you ever learn that you catch more flies with honey than you do vinegar? You have certainly soured our community. It may on the surface appear to be a win for Rama with one of its cases, but don't be fooled. There is a 30-day appeal process, and my money lies on a great city attorney appealing the decision back to the ZBA and eventually taking the ZBA to court. Yes, it can be done, and it probably will be done. Now to another issue. Thank you, Tim Fontenot, for your leadership in expressing your thoughts and feelings about ending this tyrannical, revengeful tirade with Rama. Take this a step further. The city council employs the city manager, and you all are her boss. Give her the direction to end this, and in return, she directs the city attorney to end this mess. Yes, I know it is not all as simple as that. Like anything in life, we weave a complicated thread. This does not solve the zoning issue. That will remain in play forever unless that is changed. But how did we get to this point in the first place? Well, that's another part of the infamous city history of the deals behind closed doors. Around the 2010 timeframe, several of our distinguished leaders met many times without agendas and minutes to try to pull the wool over the community's eyes regarding a comprehensive zoning change. However, good people such as Cliff Newton and Tom Kaczynski put a stop to this charade, and the correct process was followed. However, a particular plot of land, the land in which Rama owns, looks like it was spot zoned. Were they ever noticed? Did anybody ask them? Did anybody inform them of this zoning change and the possible implications of this? I think I remember one of my friends commenting on the 10 Commandments a few meetings back regarding coveting things. How do we go about correcting this injustice? Planning board, codes and ordinances, and city council. However, there's a fourth way of dealing with this. It is the people coming together and proposing a zoning change. As unbelievable as what I'm about to say, we, the people, can bring this forward, and we have to pay $100 to the city clerk's office for the simple process of filing the paperwork. Can you imagine that? Well, I'm willing to put up my $100 and work with my fellow citizens in Rama to propose a zoning ordinance change to once and for all deal with this issue. This will also allow 2 public hearings, one through the planning board and one right here at this city council. What is fascinating is how this council will finally have to publicly acknowledge a decision one way or another on the support of Rama. This land either needs to have its own zone or an overlay district. This would or could be achieved in 60 to 90 days. Heck, when the mayor wants when he snaps his fingers for zoning ordinance changes that he commands, it's done in a matter of weeks. I wonder why. Many of you all campaigned on community, transparency, vibrancy, and if I specifically recall, Callahan and Credo specifically mentioned plans regarding the fairgrounds. So let's end the BS. Can't we work together with the planning board by pulling ordinances from Deerfield, Hopkinton, Lee, Epping, Lancaster, and come together on this issue? Or do I need to spend my hard-earned $100 and to do it the hard way? As a side note, this $100 has sat in my car for about 3 years. It's kind of a private joke between Cliff Newton, Tom Kaczynski, and myself that if we were ever arrested at a city council meeting, we would bail each other out. Well, boys, I've decided that my $100 is my investment in this city, and if you guys aren't willing to work with the planning board to change this zoning ordinance, by golly, here's the $100, and there's a bunch of us that will try to do it. Thank you.
Good evening, Tom Kaczynski, Whitehall Road, and still a state rep who never voted for a tax increase for his constituents. Yeah, Rochester made the paper again today. I don't think it's too great news. It's about, again, about this zoning meeting last week. And Foster's wrote a pretty accurate article on that. The Rochester Fair Association went for 3 variances for previously held events. And I didn't realize the reason some of these weren't held recently was because of the health of the promoter for this, for these events. And they got somebody else to step up to the plate. And I'm kind of happy they had success, you know, at least, I guess, temporary success with the flat track racing, because I've attended several of those, and I enjoy that. I like motorcycles. And the 2 other variances were tabled for the next meeting. I just happened to turn the TV on last Wednesday at 9 o'clock. I was surprised this still was on, and it went till about 10:30. There was a full house of residents there, for in case anybody wasn't there. And to see the city attorney fighting against this group with doing these harmless events was, I don't know. But I got to say, it was quite a crowd there, and the residents would have nothing of this bullying. You know, they were told that their property values were going to go down with these activities. They were told that this could be like having a Lee Speedway or Star Speedway or a Loudon racetrack right in the city of Rochester. Who could live with that? But the neighbors countered, and they were supportive. In fact, the article stated, no one spoke in opposition. Nobody at that whole meeting that lasted for hours. One woman was happy to hear the roar of the crowd when the motorcycles are racing. Another one said that property values are increasing. She said her taxes never went down in Rochester, so I guess that's an indication. But one person said, you know, they enjoy this more than the drug deals or prostitutes or troublemakers running around on the streets, having a motorcycle race or a demolition derby. At this meeting, there were volunteers that spoke, and they weren't professional anything, I guess. They weren't in there for self-enrichment. They were there to help the fair survive. Anything they made was going to go towards the Fair Association, and they sounded like wonderful, selfless people to me. And you got to ask, why is this city fighting this? You know, I believe you want the property. You're going to starve them out. So we're spending $1 million for a legal department here to fight a Rochester tradition. If these residents knew some of these facts, they probably might have got more worked up. And it makes me think of the colonial times where somebody trying these shenanigans would get tarred and feathered and sent out of town. And it was a pretty good remedy in those days, I think. You counselors should review this meeting if you didn't see it. It's a good meeting. And for those who represent constituents who live in that area, you ought to listen to their overwhelming support for these activities. There was nobody except the city attorney arguing against this. Should follow the wishes of these people, and I hope, as I've said before, you could do something as counselors to get this legal department under control. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, we'll close the public input, move on to communications from the city manager.
Thank you, Your Honor. You have one submission of online public input. It is from Carmen Martel, and it is titled Public Safety, Public Intoxication, Drug Use, and she is located at 81 Periwinkle Drive. I have 3 items tonight for the city manager's report. The first is that the city will begin flushing fire hydrants starting on September 22nd and is anticipated to continue until October 24th or until flushing is complete. Most flushing will take place overnight from 11 p.m. to 7 a.m., with some valve operations happening during regular business hours. Residents may notice a slight discoloration in their water as a result of the flushing, and turning cold water on for several minutes can help to clear up that discoloration if that occurs. Low water pressure is also possible while flushing is underway, and is advised that residents check their water before bathing or doing laundry. For any questions or concerns, or if discoloration does not clear up, residents are encouraged to contact the Rochester Public Works Department at 332-4096 during regular business hours, Monday through Friday, 7 a.m. to 4 p.m. Next, I'd like to briefly share that next week I will be attending the International City and County Management Association's annual conference. I just want to say that I'm looking forward to those presentations and education sessions and reporting out on some key takeaways for Rochester after I return. And the last item I have for this evening is that some of you may have received questions about an encampment behind the William Allen School today, and I wanted to report out that the police department did respond to the situation today and worked with welfare staff who confirmed that no one was present at the site. I know there have been concerns about the proximity to the playground and the cleanup, and since this is located on city property, the Department of Public Works will be fully addressing the cleanup. DPW coordinated today with a contractor who will be available to quote the work and prepare for the cleanup early next week. The police department will continue to monitor the site, and we ask that volunteers and residents please do not attempt to visit the site in the meantime out of concerns for their safety around the materials present. While volunteerism is always appreciated, in this case, the city will be contracting the entire cleanup. Communities across the country are challenged to balance health, safety, and situational flexibility for people in need and their living situations, including substance misuse environments with those working, playing, and overall living in the same community space, including children. Despite these challenges, we strive to continue solution finding through modeled practice, creative innovation, and compassion for all. Thank you.
Thank you. Communication from the mayor. I want to thank the city clerk, the city clerk staff, and all the election officials for the outstanding job they did Tuesday night at the elections primary. First time using that new equipment, and it gets a little bit used to, but everything I heard, it was fantastic, well run, and I know the state looks forward to hearing feedback from our city clerk's office because they're recognized as being the best in the state at what they do. Continue the good work. Update on the Willen Center. We sent out RFPs to managers and city managers and county chair. We've met through the spring and summer. We met with state experts in the field of what we should do. Willen Center, honestly, is not equipped to be a shelter. It first came out back, during COVID, and it always was planned to. We had a plan in place that once a new nursing home was built, we could use the old nursing home as a sheltering, as you heard today from one of our speakers. That was the plan, but obviously the new nursing home was never approved. So, meeting with these experts, it was clear to us that 50 should be the maximum stay at that facility. That's the reason being is for safety and management purposes. So we'll send out RFPs. We anticipate getting a few back soon and hopefully opening it up in November. But our goal is to sell that facility and use it towards a newer facility. But it most likely will be the last year that we'll be using the Willen Center. It's got one and a half, maybe technically 2 bathrooms in it. It's not a shelter if you haven't been there. It's a warehouse. So we need to find a better facility. And usually I end things on a good note. Hey, fall is coming. Get up there to watch some of our football, our football team, soccer team, volleyball teams. They're pretty active up there, and it's great. Spend Friday night in the lights under there watching either soccer or football. So get out and enjoy the good weather. So I have to end on something on a positive. All right, department reports. Any questions, concern on department reports for the city manager or any staff that's here? Okay, Hearing none, we don't have a non-public, but we have a non-meeting, and are we going to go to the city manager's office for that?
Yes.
Okay.
And then, because it's a non-meeting, we won't be coming back.
Yeah, so we won't be coming back, but I do want to take a roll call vote that we go into non-meeting.
Councillor Dujafroy?
Yes.
Councillor Fitzpatrick?
Yes.
Councillor Sullivan?
Yes.
Councillor Horn?
Yes.
Councillor Walker?
Yes.
Councillor Herman?
Yes.
Councillor Fontenot?
Yes.
Councillor Turner?
Yes.
Councillor Credo?
Yes.
Councillor Richardson?
Yes.
Councillor Hammond?
Yes.
Councillor Carolian?
Yes.
Mayor Callahan?
Yes. Okay, we'll be in a non-meeting, and the meeting technically is adjourned.